Hello and welcome everyone to this week's mic check. Today we have a tiny little room. There's just four of us. Come on, people. Come on, join us. it's because it's a lot more fun when we have more people, right? Right. I think everybody who's here can agree that the more different views and reads that we get, the better things go. Well, anyway, let's go ahead and jump right on into this one. This one is going to be a commercial script that requires characterization. So, as usual, we'll have our read through, we'll go through a discussion, we'll have our directed reads, and then something special, we'll actually pull up the original commercial itself, see how close we got. So, Joe volunteered to go first this time.
Okay.
Take it away whenever you're ready.
We have unfinished business, you and I. My realm is a gaping maw of entropy, the hunger that cannot be sated. Each time she escapes, each time I drag her back, the tear widens. The world will end in stillness and in cold. It is inevitable.
All right. Who's going next?
I'll go next.
Okay. Well, normally that's Joe's job to choose, but you know what?
Oh, yeah.
You volunteered. That's all right. Yeah, Joe, obviously, he looks super disappointed that he couldn't choose right now. So, sorry, Joe, but we're just going to move on.
My bad. All right. We have unfinished business, you and I. My realm is the gaping maw of entropy, the hunger that cannot be sated. Each time she escapes, each time I drag her back, the tear widens. The world will end in stillness and in cold. It is inevitable. It is inevitable.
All right. Who's going next? Which one of us, Nathan or myself?
Let's go Nathan.
Okay. We have unfinished business, you and I. My realm is the gaping maw of entropy, the hunger that cannot be sated. Each time she escapes, each time I drag her back, the tear widens. The world will end in stillness and in cold. It is inevitable.
All right. Who's going next, myself or my phone?
You and you. Oh, hey.
All right.
Or Goldie. Looks like she's
We have
popping
been
in.
joined by Goldie now.
We have been joined by Goldie.
Yes.
Are you there, Goldie? Goldie, are you there? Please tell me
Maybe.
you're there. Oh, okay.
We'll
Maybe
give
she'll
her a
join us
moment.
in a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, I know she's got the script because it's in the Facebook group chat. By the way, we have a Facebook group chat. If we haven't mentioned that enough already, feel free to join. And did Goldie? Oh, yeah, there we go. We have her
she is.
phone and her, just like me. Hey.
All right.
Okay, I will go, and we'll see what happens. All right. We have unfinished business, you and I. My realm is the
Pardon the waiting.
gaping maw of entropy, the hunger that cannot be sated. Each time she escapes, each time I drag her back, the tear widens. The world will end in stillness and in cold. It is inevitable. All right. Golda, you there? Heard you just for just a second.
You're muted. You're muted,
You're
Golden.
muted now. You're muted.
There we go. Now
Click
you're not
mute.
muted. You're good. Uh-oh. Your headphones off. She's checking her stuff here.
All right. So it looks like she's recording from a totally different location now, which is cool.
Yeah.
But these technical hiccups always happen, and that's all right.
Oh, yes. Well, at least we didn't have a blank screen situation go on. Still can't. I still do not know how that managed to happen.
Hey, Golda, you're unmuted. You're good to go.
I'm good to go. Okay.
Yeah, you actually unmuted for a little bit.
Okay, good.
So, did you get the new script? The
I
last
have
minute
not gotten
change
any
script?
scripts yet. I just fiddled with my things and
Okay. The script is linked in the Facebook chat. It's my newest message in there.
cool.
And there too.
And it's also in the Zoom chat.
Cool.
We're now focusing on our villain reads.
Oh,
Evil!
oh, it's going to be difficult on me. Okay. No thanks. Okay.
No problem. No problem.
Good times.
Yeah. In the meantime, though, we have got some cool ideas for expansion going on right now, and we'll discuss that more in the future with you guys. So stay tuned.
And Dan has rejoined us by his phone.
Hello. We'll see if he has voice access here. Looks like he's muted, so no worries. Gotta love technical difficulties.
Hello.
Hey,
There he
Dan.
is.
Right.
You were unmuted for just a second.
I'm on my phone.
There you go. Hey, that's cool. That's cool. Can you still access the script? And you muted.
Probably needs, when he swaps out of it, it probably mutes him, I'm going to guess.
Ah, okay. Okay. No problem.
All right. So, what was the question?
Did you were you able to access the script?
I've got it. I believe on my Google Docs. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Not the Miles one, right? Yeah, new one.
Yes, the new one. The new one.
Are you guys recording right now?
We are. We're on. Most of us have already read. We're waiting on Goldie now. She volunteered to go next.
Okay,
Okay.
well then I will go back to wherever I put that script.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I spring that up on you?
All right. Sorry, need headphones to hear you. So
Oh, I'm very sorry. Okay. Yes, Goldie, we would like for you to go next.
Right.
Again, this is a villain character. The direction is in lighter color just above the text. So let's just go with it. Let's hear what your take is.
okay. We have unfinished business, you and I. My realm is the gaping maw of entropy, the hunger that cannot be sated. Each time she escapes, each time I drag her back, the tear widens. The world will end in stillness and in cold. It is inevitable.
Okay. So then, last but not least, Dan, why don't you go ahead and give us a take if you feel comfortable doing it from your phone?
We'll see. We have unfinished business, you and I. My realm is the gaping maw of entropy, the hunger that cannot be sated. Each time she escapes, each time I drag her back, the tear widens. The world will end in stillness and in cold. It is inevitable.
Okay, so barring any new entries, I believe that's everybody. Why don't we go ahead and we'll move on to the discussion phase now. So, looking at this, well, I mean, it says it's a trailer, and as I've mentioned before, this has been on YouTube. But let's go ahead and dive in. What did people notice about the script as you read it? What did you notice about other people's performances? What did you notice about your performance? Was there anything that stuck out? Any particular aspects of the script that that caught your attention? Anything at all? Let's go ahead and talk about it.
Well,
It seemed to me like
Go ahead.
it wasn't just a story with a flow, and I was still trying to figure out how it all
fit together.
Like if it's a trailer, I could see it being one cut, we have unfinished business, you and me. Another cut, my realm is a gaping maw of entropy. Another cut, the hunger that cannot be sated. And then like each of these is another little block as opposed to a monologue.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of see it like the old World of Warcraft commercials where it's just a phrase, video, a phrase, video, a phrase, video.
Mm-hmm. Well, I like in general, I think I like the slower paced reads. They probably lend themselves to that intercut with video stuff. And then I also noticed that I think Sean and Nathan had some good word emphasis that I didn't catch. Like I think Sean emphasized the world will end and still is like it's going to happen, hitting will harder than I did. And I think had up in the hunger that cannot be, he hit not on cannot be sated to stress. I thought those were two interesting choices that worked well with the copy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Anybody else? Any other ideas? Any views? Anything?
Yeah. Well, I've been watching a lot of certain science fiction lately and studying the performances as I watch, because I don't just watch TV. I study everything the actors are doing. And this reminded me of some characters from the show that I've been watching. And just in the way that the approach of that, you know, and it has that kind of feel to it. Where, you know, of course, you know, in reading the spec, which the spec is very clearly written, you know, I mean, sometimes it's a little bit of a mystery, but this is very clearly done, where it's, you know, ominous tone, you know, some rasp, slow, deliberate in your delivery. All the things that you really need to just kind of focus on is and you know, so it doesn't end up sounding like a car commercial with a villain leading it.
Right?
Oh man, imagine reading this like a daytime car commercial. We have unfinished business, you and I. The realm is the gaping maw of entropy, the hunger that cannot be sated.
It sounds like you came straight from Tennessee.
Each time she escapes, each time I drag her back.
The tear widens. The world will end in stillness and in cold. It is inevitable.
You could drive a Chevy van through that tear. I'll tell you what. Right now and buy that Chevy. You can drive it through there today.
$2.99 a month.
The world ends in stillness and cold.
But we've got heaters.
Yeah, but don't worry, we won't leave you out in the cold. All of our cars have working heating. Anyway.
Don't forget that Sirius satellite radio we thrown in.
Right.
So some of this is a little bit disjointed. Some of it does fit together.
Yeah.
For instance, we have unfinished business, you and I. That is somewhat disjointed. But the next two, my realm is the gaping maw of entropy, the hunger that cannot be sated, are actually linked. Those are two parts of the same story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Each time she escapes, each time I drag her back, the tear widens. I think all three of those go together.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously the last two do sort of link into each other. The world will end in stillness and in cold. It is inevitable.
Yeah.
Although the three, each time she escapes, each time I drag her back, the tear widens. That has two interpretations. One is when she escapes, I drag her back, and the tear widens. Or it's three separate thoughts. Each time she escapes, each time I drag her back, the tear widens, and you're not really connecting. I don't know if that makes sense. That it's
Well,
three thoughts.
I actually think your first interpretation of that was the correct one. I can't talk. So it's describing the process of every time whoever she is, who or whatever she is, every time she escapes and every time this character drags them back into this realm, that the tear that this person escapes through widens each time, leading this gaping maw of entropy to be unleashed upon the world. So I think that first interpretation of yours is the right one.
I'd almost say that each time she escapes and each time I drag her back, the tear widens almost. Possibly. I don't know whether it's the back and forth or each direction.
Seems like each one, like the tear widens when she escapes. The tear widens when I drag her back.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was leaning.
Or maybe it's that whole process. Each time she escapes and each time I drag her back, the tear widens with each one of those.
Yeah.
I'm kind of noting the punctuation on this. On my first read through, I semi-ignored it just to get a feel for what this is. But there's like three different things going on with that. Each time she escapes, each time I drag her back, the tear widens.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
that was my second thought, was that it's actually three
separate sentences.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I'm only again, so full disclosure, I totally just transcribed this to the best of my ability from the actual commercial itself, and I also created the direction there from the commercial itself. So this is my best interpretation of it, but I would say that ultimately that's all the same process. Each time she escapes, each time I drag her back, the tear widens.
Mm-hmm.
So it's only separated like that because that's how it was delivered. Each one of those was it was each time she escapes, each time I drag her back, the tear widens. So it's the same process.
Mm-hmm.
It's every time she goes out and every time we pull her back in, this tear opens up a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to do my best here.
I'm not chuckling at that. It's my head just went into Godfather mode. Every time she thinks she's out, they pull her back in.
anyway, so I will allow some creative freedom here if you'd like to go ahead and do it as three separate ideas if you wanted to give that a try. I feel though it really fits quite well, all being the same thing that is done, all being part of the same process. So again, I'll leave it up to you guys. Take it or leave it how you will. But that was what I wanted to try to communicate.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, did anybody else notice anything? Have any questions? Anything they want to bring up?
Nope.
Okay. Well, we lost Dan, but okay. Then why don't we go ahead and pick it back up?
Okay.
We'll go into our directed reads. So, Joe,
Yo.
give us that villain.
We have unfinished business, you and I. My realm is the gaping maw of entropy, the hunger that cannot be sated. Each time she escapes, each time I drag her back, the tear widens. The world will end in stillness and in cold. It is inevitable.
All right, opening it up. What did everybody think?
Well,
Sounds good.
wow.
It was really good. It was really good.
Okay, what specifically about it? What was it that really hit your ear right? What communicated this as being a good read?
Well, I liked that the first time he read it, he noticed after a few other people had read it some of the emphasis, and he went ahead and placed those emphases in this time. It sounded good.
Yeah, I like that first line, the way it was, the pauses and the emphasis in that one just really made it feel very solid, like a real villain getting in there.
So one thing that I'd like to hear slightly differently is that last line, it is inevitable.
Yeah.
You sort of stated it as like a separate observation from everything else. Like you were telling a story and then it is inevitable. Almost like you had the shoulder shrug going in there. I'd like to hear it as more of just a declaration, more of just, this is a fact. It is inevitable.
Okay.
Keeps the
Like
ominous
you
feel
cannot
going.
escape this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So instead of it being like this observation of, you know what, you're really not going to get away from it. It's inevitable. To an actual, like solemn declaration that there is no way that these heroes, whoever they may be in this story, will get away from this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you want the
Everything
whole
else, though, yeah, the whole thing, please.
Okay.
Everything else was great. Just change that one thing.
Okay. Just for a mental note, part of the change from the first read to this one was the emphasis, and then also I built a visual picture in my head of a hero like chained down in front of me that I was talking to.
Okay.
One person, but he was completely powerless, and of course then he escapes and kills me.
Because that's how it always goes.
Yeah, but that's not part of the story here.
Yeah. Okay.
We have unfinished business, you and I. My realm is the gaping maw of entropy, the hunger that cannot be sated. Each time she escapes, each time I drag her back, the tear widens. The world will end in stillness and in cold. It is inevitable.
Okay.
I liked the last line better this time.
It for some reason, in my opinion at least, it felt a little bit forced. It felt a little bit more like you're trying to shove it down this person's throat. Like, did anybody else get that feeling from it, or am I the only one who've heard that?
Yeah, it wasn't just a fact, it was a threat.
Yeah. I'd like to hear it as, you definitely, that's a really good way to describe it, actually. It definitely came off as more of a threat. I'd love to hear you put it out there as a fact, as just,
Fact. Okay.
it is inevitable. Like, this is just the way the world has always worked, and you have to accept it.
Okay. Let me just do that one line.
Okay.
Or I'll do the line before too, because that kind of leads in. So
The world will end in stillness and in cold. It is inevitable.
Much better. Much
Yeah.
better.
yeah, and I can hear the three completely different sometimes it's the director comes in and goes, yeah, you didn't get that one. The writer's like, that's not what I wrote.
Yeah, maybe
sleep last night.
maybe I should be a little less specific then in my direction.
No, that's what happens at sessions, right? They'll get down to the nitty gritty to get exactly what they want. So
Well, some people don't know what they want. I don't know. You've probably been in those sessions before where it's like the director's like, can you give it to me in a different way? Kind of, I don't know. Just give me a couple different takes of it.
yeah.
You need to sound like
you ever gotten that before? It's like, great. Well, why don't I give it to you cheery then? Because anything falls under a completely different way. It's like, come on, people.
I want you to sound like you're a middle-aged man who has no hair at all. Okay, now I need you to sound like a 30-year-old who has hair down to his butt. I want to hear that.
It's inevitable, man. It's inevitable. We can't escape this. It's gonna happen. Like,
All right,
no
now
matter-
you sound like Big
how
Lebowski.
crazy is that? No matter what you try, it's just gonna happen, man. No, but maybe I'll be a little bit more vague in my directions next time to prepare people more for a real, train wreck of a session that you're gonna have in the future. It's guaranteed to happen. But no, you definitely hit that much better. It definitely felt more of a statement of inevitability rather than a threat or anything else. It was right on. Perfect.
Cool. Thanks.
No, thank you, Joe. Thank you.
Thank you.
I like that you did the 3 different ways because you could hear how just the way the line is read changes up that ending.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's 3 words, and it's like, okay, it's 3 words. How it's like the Looney Tunes episode with Daffy Duck where he's got his lines on a piece of paper and he's reading them and he's like, I dare you, I dare you, I dare you. He's like, I know my line. It's like, thanks, you read it 3 different ways.
All my years of watching that cartoon, I never dreamed of the fact that we actually do that.
Me and ABNC.
Alrighty then, Sean, you're up
Hey.
next.
All right.
Go ahead, give it to us. Give us your best villain.
Okay. We have unfinished business, you and I. My realm is the gaping maw of entropy, the hunger that cannot be sated. Each time she escapes, each time I drag her back, the tear widens. The world will end in stillness and in cold. It is inevitable.
All right, opening it up. What did everybody think?
I like the grit, but I wanted to hear a bit more up and down.
Yeah, I felt like the world had just bored you completely, and now you were just taking your revenge because that's just possible, rather than invested.
I'm a bored bad guy. I want something to go wrong. When is something to go wrong?
Now, my one thing about the tone that you took when approaching this was it felt a little bit more like classic superhero villain rather than like ominous and calm villain. It felt like you were trying to sound bigger than you were, if that makes any sense.
Yes. Okay.
Like you had that sort of like, we have unfinished business, you and I, like trying to make yourself sound more important when the whole idea behind this character is that they are calm, collected, and straightforward. These are all statements of fact.
Cool.
So I'd like to hear a little bit more of that direction, you taking that tone with it.
Okay.
Think Jack Palance.
All right. Ready for another one?
Abso-freaking-lutely.
All right. We have unfinished business, you and I. I think I did that again, huh? That's
Yep.
what-
Mm-hmm.
We have unfinished business, you and I. My realm is the gaping maw of entropy, the hunger that cannot be sated. Each time she escapes, each time I drag her back, the tear widens. The world will end in stillness and in cold. It is inevitable.
All right. What did everybody think of that one?
Better.
Okay.
All Better it is.
Better. Anybody catch anything in particular? Anything stick out to anybody?
I can tell you a trick that gets more levels out of me sometimes. If I get into a pattern with something, sometimes it's hard to break out. You sing the copy, like you completely ignore the character and everything else, and just sing through the copy once. Sometimes that breaks your up and down, your pattern, and then you come back and you do it again, and it gives you a different take on it.
Huh.
So a pattern break.
Yeah.
That sounds cool.
I think that's part of what I want to see. It either go like up and down, or I want to see it like crescendo or decrescendo or something in there it gives it more power as you go through it, because each individual line's fine, but then you want some sort of building or unbuilding, if that makes sense.
All of these different points, like we talked about during the discussion phase, all build a story. And a lot of the way that you're reading it is you're reading it line by line rather than story by story.
Mm-hmm.
So there are technically three separate stories going on in here. The first one being, we have unfinished business, you and I. Then it breaks to the story about who this person is. My realm is the gaping maw of entropy, the hunger that cannot be sated, which is describing the gaping maw of entropy. And each time she escapes, each time I drag her back from this realm, the tear between realms widens. So that's all one story. Those three lines are one story. Then the last two, the world will end in stillness and in cold, it is inevitable, is also one story. So the way that you've been reading it so far has been line by line. We have unfinished business, you and I. My realm is the gaping maw of entropy, the hunger that cannot be sated. Each time she escapes, each time I drag her back, the tear widens, stuff like that. That's how you've been approaching it. But I want you to put together these stories a little bit. I want you to tell us what's going on with this character.
Okay.
And then if that doesn't work, we'll come up with something crazy for a pattern break.
Okay.
Jack Nicholson impression or something.
Yeah.
I get noticed.
We have unfinished business, you and I. My realm is the gaping maw of entropy, the hunger that cannot be sated. Each time she escapes, each time I drag her back, the tear widens. The world will end in stillness and in cold. It is inevitable.
Okay. What did everybody think of that, Reed?
There was more
Better.
story, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely an improvement. Yeah.
Cool.
It felt more in the moment.
Mhm. I think it felt a little too quick, but otherwise, you definitely told a little bit more of a story.
I felt that too. I sped through it a little bit
Yeah.
more than I should have. Cool.
Otherwise, though, good on you.
Yay.
What do you think? Should Sean take another to go, or should we move on?
It's completely up to him. You want to take one, or
I don't mind doing it another time if you guys want to hear another one.
Yeah, let's go one more time.
We have unfinished business, you and I. My realm is the gaping maw of entropy, the hunger that cannot be sated. Each time she escapes, each time I drag her back, the tear widens. The world will end in stillness and in cold. It is inevitable.
All right. So what does everybody think? Good on him for a final take?
Yeah, I think he felt that one even more than the take before it. So that was very good.
I felt that too. I felt like it was a little more. I don't know if I would say conversational, but I felt like it was like I was living in that conversation.
Like you were playing out that character a little bit more. You were standing in their shoes, right?
Right.
Well, I think you did a fantastic job.
Thank you.
Let's see. It was Nathan next, right?
Nathan.
We have unfinished business, you and I. My realm is the gaping maw of entropy, the hunger that cannot be sated. Each time she escapes, each time I drag her back, the tear widens. The world will end in stillness and in cold. It is inevitable.
All right. What did everybody think of that read?
That was it went more into the like creepy kind of realm. Which I thought.
Yeah, like a Rumpelstiltskin kind of a character.
Yeah. It didn't have the calm sort of vibe to me.
Okay, too much Jack Palance.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think it was a little too character-y rather than calm and collected, and just somebody who feels like they are in control and are confident in what's going to happen.
Okay, I'll dial it back a little bit. We have unfinished business, you and I. My realm is the gaping maw of entropy, the hunger that cannot be sated. Each time she escapes, each time I drag her back, the tear widens. The world will end in stillness and in cold. It is inevitable.
Okay. Thoughts on that one?
I think it sounded much better.
Yeah.
I think there should be a little bit more emphasis on the word cold. Like you want to feel like it's cold. But I think stillness you did a good job, but then in cold you just kind of it didn't have enough feel to it, I don't think.
Yeah, I noticed you started adding in a lot more vocal tension as the lines went through. So a little ways into it, you started sounding a little bit more stressed.
I got you. Okay.
So
It sounded more sinister than the first read, but I actually agree with Michael on that one. It sounded like you were like your voice didn't change, but the effort behind it did. Is that what you're trying to say, Mike?
yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I mean. The vocal tension, the stress in it. So it's not that his tone necessarily changed. I would love to hear that same sort of read, but without that added vocal tension as it goes along. You're not becoming more excited or anything as the story is being told. You're just letting whoever's listening know this is just a statement of fact.
We have unfinished business, you and I. My realm is the gaping maw of entropy, the hunger that cannot be sated. Each time she escapes, each time I drag her back, the tear widens. The world will end in stillness and in cold. It is inevitable.
All right. And what did everybody think of that one?
Yeah, I like
Well,
that.
I think you might have went a little too far in the other direction with cold. You were like cold, like it was like super hard hit.
Yeah, that was the only thing that I would critique, I think.
Yeah, but also going back to the notes at the top, like there wasn't really any rasp,
Yeah.
and it could be a little more ominous, I think.
Yeah, I
But
have
good job.
to
Good job on calm and collected, though. That was good.
Guy Next Door too much, but that's
Yeah.
that's my natural read is Guy Next Door. I have
Yeah, I
played
can't imagine.
that
I can't imagine like it's a sunny suburban afternoon. Somebody leans over like the fence. Hey, we have unfinished business, you and I.
You know, I
I've been meaning
played
to talk
Dad in
to
an
you.
animation, so it's like,
Your volcanic lair has been killing my lawn.
can my
Like-
son get his ball over there? We have unfinished business, you and I. Your dog craps on my lawn one more time. He's going to experience the gaping maw of entropy. Okay. Let's see if I can change that up a little bit. I know what it's missing for me anyway.
Well, let's hear it and then tell us about it after.
We have unfinished business, you and I. My realm is the gaping maw of entropy, the hunger that cannot be sated. Each time she escapes, each time I drag her back, the tear widens. The world will end in stillness and in cold. It is inevitable.
Okay. I was kind of missing the deliberateness in the tone, but that was just me. What did everybody else think?
Adding the voice, the accent did change the musicality of it.
Mhm.
So I think you got a different peaks and valleys in it by doing that. So
Yeah.
combine the two, then you'd have like the sinister with the
Tonality.
tonality.
Man, voiceover is so subjective.
There's so much.
That's why you hear it and you go, they booked it that way.
Oh man.
I hear that a lot.
They booked an Ian McKellen type. What?
Oh man. Some of that voiceover I could talk about, but we'll keep that for something separate anyway. So yeah, I like the character. I would like to hear a little bit more of just the slow, deliberate sort of just matter of fact, this is what's going on sort of tone. Because this one you did hit. Go ahead.
Sorry about I heard my tone the first time, and the first thing I kept thinking of was young Obi-Wan Kenobi. And I was like, I don't want to go in that direction. So let's try Obi-Wan as a Sith. It just didn't go as deliberate as I wanted it to.
Yeah, I noticed the thing that broke me out of the deliberateness is when you went up in your pitch at the very beginning of the next sets of lines. You know, my realm is the gaping maw of entropy. Like, hey, listen to me. This is interesting.
Check
Other
out
than-
my dude, man.
You know, my realm is the gaping maw of entropy. You know, something more deliberate, straightforward.
Okay. We have unfinished business, you and I. My realm is the gaping maw of entropy, the hunger that cannot be sated. Each time she escapes, each time I drag her back, the tear widens. The world will end in stillness and in cold. It is inevitable.
Sorry about smacking my microphone there. What did everybody think?
I liked it.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the combo.
Best read so far.
Fantastic. Don't hit the mic. Okay, Michael, that
So
just
tempting.
bummed my mic. I've got this hung so I don't hit it, and I'm hitting everything in the room.
All righty then. So, Dan, are you connected?
I am. Golda goes before me, though.
That's
I'm
right. That's right. That's right.
I'm hard charging, so we're good.
All right.
Doesn't Michael go?
Do I go next?
Oh yeah, you were
Yes,
before.
I believe
Golden.
He said he
right.
went before me,
That's
except
right.
for
Okay.
Dan.
Okay. All right. We have unfinished business, you and I. My realm is the gaping maw of entropy, the hunger that cannot be sated. Each time she escapes, each time I drag her back, the tear widens. The world will end in stillness and in cold. It is inevitable.
Nice use of the
Good
whisper.
job.
Yeah.
I just wish I had better sound on my phone because I'd be nitpicking like crazy because that was almost perfect. I'd
Anything?
like to hear it a little bit different. I mean, that was right on though. I mean, like
Maybe a little less calm, or maybe a little more menace.
A little more menace. Okay.
Yeah, a little more menace. That would probably be the only thing I'd throw in there.
Yeah.
A little more menace. Let's see if we can put that in there. We have unfinished business, you and I. My realm is the gaping maw of entropy, the hunger that cannot be sated. Each time she escapes, each time I drag her back, the tear widens. The world will end in stillness and in cold. It is inevitable.
Yeah. That added the rasp in that I didn't hear on the earlier one.
Yeah.
But rasp, just for rasp's sake, doesn't make sense.
Yeah. But did I hit the more menacing tone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
thing with
you actually went both the less calm and more menacing tone.
the thing with the rasp part of it is Michael has a natural gravel, and so he really didn't need to add anything to it. He just uses what's already there. So
Yeah.
likely he would be the most likely to book this because he doesn't have to work at making it raspy.
Well, actually, spoiler alert, Joe would be much, much closer.
I was going to say Joe's read actually sounded really...
Joe would be much, much closer to landing it than me.
It's all subjective. Never know.
Yeah.
It really is. But when you hear the voiceover, you'll see Joe's read is probably the closest.
Oh, okay.
But let's go ahead and move on then, shall we? Goldie.
All right. We have unfinished business, you and I. My realm is the gaping maw of entropy, the hunger that cannot be sated. Each time she escapes, each time I drag her back, the tear widens. The world will end in stillness and cold. It is inevitable.
Okay. What did everybody think of that read?
I actually really like the tagline. It was just kind of a in your face but casual read of it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I would say that up to each time she escaped, it sounded like she had a slight smile, like it was like she was happy to be telling somebody this almost.
Mhm.
I don't know if that's just me, but I mean, when you got to each time she escapes, it was cold. There was no sense of smile there.
Mm-hmm.
That was a nice touch.
Actually,
And was that? I'm sorry. Just so I'm clear, Dan. Is that a good thing that went away, or a bad thing, or just a
I'd like
fact?
to hear the whole thing without that hint of a smile. I don't
Without the
know.
hint of a smile? Okay.
But I mean it didn't sound bad at all. It's just, I mean, can't see the. I'm listening.
Yeah. Well, still, that's actually more important just to listen.
Mhm.
That's why for the longest time we did this without cameras, just so that we can really just get a sense of just the performance. But no, if you're just listening and if that's what you heard, I mean, somebody else also is going to agree with you on that, and maybe we could go ahead and take a look at that and give that a change. Some other things, just two little notes from me is one, I think you hit in my realm a little too hard. I think you attacked that a little too quickly.
Uh-huh.
I think that line should just be explanation, my realm. If you are going to give any emphasis, just make realm a little wider and rounder, if that
Okay.
makes any sense.
Okay.
My realm is the gaping maw of entropy.
Mhm.
Also, I think I loved the way you said inevitable, but I feel that was said a bit too quickly.
Okay.
So those would be my two things. Don't attack my in the second line too harsh.
Okay.
Just round out the rest of it,
Okay.
and separate out it is a little slower. So those were my only notes.
All right.
I had one. It's not really a note. It's more of a idea.
Okay.
It's just based on your voice and probably in part the smile that Dan heard.
Mhm.
I'd like to hear you read each time I drag her back as if you're dragging her. Each time I drag her back, I want to hear you drag her back. I just think with your voice that kind of fits because you already sounded kind of like the evil smile behind it.
Okay.
Just a thought. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Give it a go.
Let's give it a go. We have unfinished business, you and I. My realm is the gaping maw of entropy, the hunger that cannot be sated. Each time she escapes, each time I drag her back, the tear widens. The world will end in stillness and in cold. It is inevitable. Can I do that last line again?
Yeah, go for it.
The world will end in stillness and in cold. It is inevitable.
All right, opening it up. What did people think of that?
Nice.
I like that.
Fantastic.
I like that drag out. That actually does work really well for her voice.
Yeah, I have nothing bad to say about that read. That was absolutely fantastic.
It's like, I can't wait to hear this in game.
Ready to play a villain? Okay.
I hear these performances, and it's like I don't care if it's a good guy or a bad guy. I'm like, that is an awesome performance. That
Yeah, that was really solid. Really, really solid delivery there. Good job.
Hey.
You're hired. Cut it. Print it. We're done. All right. So now it's Dan's turn.
Yes. Okay. Oops. There we go. Oh, somebody's pulling up. Give me just a second.
Knocks on the window.
It's a police officer. What are you doing in there, sir?
It's my roommate.
Oh, okay. All right. No worries.
My realm is a realm of entropy.
Yeah. Careful there. My room is a realm of entropy right now. I mean, you don't want to go there.
oh Lord.
I just had Rick Moranis' voice pop into my head.
Rick Moranis.
We have unfinished business, you and I. My realm is the gaping maw of entropy, the hunger that cannot be sated. Each time she escapes, Each time I drag her back, the tear widens. The world will end in stillness and in cold. It is inevitable.
What if that was your roommate in the background?
Yep.
So something that I thought was really good about that was actually you approached it pretty much monotone. And I don't know if you were going for that or not. And maybe it's just me again. I'm open to being wrong, but I heard it as pretty monotone. And I don't think that's a bad thing.
I actually went for monotone, so.
You what?
I was going for monotone.
Okay. Yeah. I don't believe that it's a bad thing at all because you can add emphasis just like you did with shortening or lengthening certain lines, slowing down or speeding up. There's so many different ways of emphasis that don't always include, upping or, tensing up your voice. And I think you hit all of that fairly well. You started off really like gritting your teeth angry. Did anybody else get that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you started off as gritting your teeth angry, and then you sort of like calmed down and went through the whole thing at a normal pace, seemingly without emotion, which is not a bad thing. Just an observation here. I would like to hear you get rid of that like sort of gritting teeth anger at the very beginning of it. We have unfinished business, you and I. I'd like to hear just more of like, it's a statement.
Okay.
Like you have this hero in your clutches and they're not going anywhere. You have the supreme upper hand here. So there is nothing that's bothering you. There is nothing that's angering you. This is just the way things are.
All right. I can do that. Anything else? All right. We have unfinished business, you and I. My realm is the gaping maw of entropy, the hunger that cannot be sated. Each time she escapes, each time I drag her back, the tear widens. The world will end in stillness and in cold. It is inevitable. Yeah, I put a little bit more feeling behind that one, I think. Just not, I lost the monotone part.
I don't know. I didn't hear that much of a break from the monotone read. I don't know, did anybody else catch that? Did anybody else feel that this was a more emotive read from him this time around?
Maybe just maybe
Just a hair.
might about 0.2, but not enough to really differentiate the read. So it sounded great. So
Yeah, I thought the timing was better on this one. The pacing overall.
Although I did feel like you were adding commas in after each time. Like each time she escapes, each time I drag her back.
Yeah, I did that.
Okay.
Okay. Maybe with that you can just remove those commas, put those all together. Each time she escapes, each time I drag her back, the tear widens. But
Each time
I think
escapes, each time I drag her back.
Yeah.
yeah, something a little bit more like that. That would be my one main change, I think.
Mhm.
Turn off the AC in my car. Hold on. Let's see if we can do this.
Well, if it was on before, it wasn't at all interfering with the noise, so you're good.
All right. We have unfinished business, you and I. My realm is the gaping maw of entropy, the hunger that cannot be sated. Each time she escapes, each time I drag her back, the tear widens. The world will end in stillness and in cold. It is inevitable.
Perfect.
that was great. Yeah.
Perfect. I don't have anything to say. That was fantastic. Spot on.
All right, so finals go to me.
Yeah. Well,
I believe
anyway.
gonna get the second call back, and
Well, since everybody had a chance to go, and everybody, I feel, did a very, very good job of their interpretation of it, I'm going to go ahead and play the commercial so that you can hear the actual voiceover in the background. Now, obviously, there's other sound effects and stuff going on. This is not a private commercial. This is being used under fair use, so there shouldn't be any issues with it. And besides, this is just some free advertising for everybody anyway, so don't even worry about it. So here it is. This is the Pillars of Eternity 2 Deadfire Beast of Winter launch trailer, the actual sounds and voiceover of it right now.
We have unfinished business, you and I. My realm is the gaping maw of entropy. The hunger that cannot be sated. Each time she escapes, each time I drag her back, the tear widens. The world will end in stillness and in calm. It is inevitable.
All right, Joe gets it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think the closest delivery to the source material was Joe.
I think your description was spot on. It is slow and plodding, and it's ominous, and it's got a flat read to it. So yeah, so the description helped. And sometimes you don't get that on audition.
No, you don't. And that's I think something that we should actually devote a mic check to, is interpreting the directions that we may get, because oftentimes we will get things from people. We'll get auditions and whatnot, and the descriptions make sense to the person who wrote it, but not to anybody else.
Angry calm.
Yeah, exactly. Angry calm. Somebody would write that down. You know, maybe next time what we should do, what we could do, is I could try to find, I don't know, maybe one or two other active commercial scripts. Try to sully the waters a little bit when it comes to the actual description and the direction, and see if we can interpret it and really talk about it. But yeah, that was the original commercial. It's available right now on YouTube, so if you look up Pillars of Eternity 2 Deadfire, the Beast of Winter trailer, you'll find it. And yeah, like I said, I think Joe's delivery was probably the closest to the cast role. Although this character might have already been in the game beforehand and they just used them. So we probably wouldn't see the audition for that, but you know what? We might as well give it a go, right?
Yeah.
Unless we auditioned for the game.
Yeah, unless we auditioned for the game, which was an interesting prospect last week. But anyway, I hope everybody really enjoyed this look at an actual commercial that's going on right now. You all did absolutely fantastic jobs. Next week is going to be Nathan's week, so expect something cool from him, and from I can't. Why does this happen to me every single week? Why do I lose the ability to speak? Okay,
you used up all your words for the day.
I did. I've been talking too much, and it's just really hot in here and really hot out here. But anyway, thank you all so much for coming. I'm sorry this was a really short one, but again, I appreciate you all for coming. Tell your friends, share the link. The link that's on Facebook right now, okay? That's a permanent link. That's a registration page, just so that anybody who might be watching this far is still a little confused on it. On Facebook, the link that we have available for the mic check is just a Zoom room registration, so that when you go in there, we will get only your name and your email address. Don't worry, we won't spam you with anything. We don't keep it on file for any reason. Joining the mic check is totally voluntary. We're never going to charge you. We're not going to sell your information or anything like that. It's just so that we have a security filter, so that when you come on and we see your name, we can look on the registration list and be like, yep, that's them. That's their email. We're good to go. So that link can be shared as far and wide as you'd like. That'll lead people to the registration page, where they'll ask you to just put in your name and your email address, and that's it. And on the day, and you will receive a link for the mic check page. When you log on, you'll be in a waiting room, and we'll eventually let you in whenever we feel like it. No, I'm just kidding. We'll let you in as soon as we're all ready to go. But yeah, that link can be shared far and wide. Send it to anybody who you'd like to. Go ahead and click on it yourself if you haven't, and hopefully we'll see you next time.